Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's video, I want to respond to a question or a suggestion that was raised by a fellow YouTuber in this space, Donna Samir, Search for Uhuru. I saw that he went live earlier today, and the video was entitled, take a look up on the screen, The Case for Kagame Invading the Congo. Now, it was an open discussion. I'm not saying that he was actually suggesting this, but I want to attack the topic, and I want to go in depth about that.
So, Nigel, are you saying that Kagame doesn't have the right to go into Congo and
whatever.
the perpetrators of the genocide?
Check
no
on the
way he's supposed to go through the UN, the East African Union to go after those people. That's
Oh, come on, tonight. You know these organizations are useless. Come on, come on, Nigel. Come on.
Let's say
now, before I get into my commentary, I want to get into a clip of the foreign minister in the Congo and also the spokeswoman for the government of Rwanda, basically going back and forth like a rat beef with each side giving their perspective. So I'm gonna jump into those clips and I'll be right back. Let's go.
The main city in North Kivu province, Goma, being occupied by Rwandan Defense Forces with, as a puppet, the M23, a pretense of an armed group. And at the same time, also the Rwandan Defense Forces and de facto the Rwandan government backing, funding, and equipping an insurgency that seeks to overthrow a legally established and elected government.
Now, I'm going to jump into the clip from the spokeswoman for the government of Rwanda. Run the clip. I'll be right back.
We have been able to make tremendous progress in the last 30 years building this country, not just physically, not just infrastructure. I mean, rebuilding everything that was destroyed, but also hearts and minds. We have repaired the social fabric that was destroyed during the genocide. We've been working seriously on reconciliation
Ms.
and
McConnell,
unity.
I do understand the achievements that you have made in Rwanda, but this is about
so then you understand
DRC.
why we have to safeguard.
So does that give you the right to then send your troops into a neighboring country and occupy territory there?
It gives us the right to defend our borders and to safeguard.
But does that
Rwandans
mean
and
your
everyone who lives here.
troops are today allowed to be deployed? There are reports of thousands, at least 3,000 Rwandan soldiers now willfully occupying Congolese land. Does that give you the right to do that?
We are not interested in occupying anyone's land.
So what are
We
your
want
troops
peace.
doing there in the DRC?
Our troops are deployed along our border.
No, by
and we
all
have...
estimations, let's be clear with our listeners. By all estimations, your allies, the United States, the UK, the UN, the whole world says your troops are there in the DRC. Why are they there? And shouldn't you leave the DRC to manage its own affairs?
Well, they have failed to. We have had repeated violations of our border. We've had people killed on our side of the border with shelling coming from the DRC. Just this week, we've had 15 people died from stray bullets and bombing coming from what's happening in Goma. And this is not new. We have had to live with this. And because of that, we have deployed heavily defensive mechanisms and offensive mechanisms on our border to ensure that we keep our people safe.
So
and
just
safeguard our
explain that
investments.
to us. What are your troops doing? What is that offensive position there in the DRC? That means you are actively fighting the Congolese government on its own territory.
No, we are ensuring that the fighting that is happening on a few kilometers from our border do not come across, and ensuring that we prevent any spillover into Rwanda, because the decisions that are being made
on the ground in the DRC, doesn't it? That's what it involves.
That means that if we have to counter any attacks that are targeted at us, it will not happen within our borders.
Now, I'm going to address her later on in the video, but I want to get into Paul Kagame giving an interview, also addressing these similar allegations. Run a clip. I'll be right back.
So let me ask this directly, Mr. President. Today, on the 3rd of February, does Rwanda currently have any troops at all in Eastern DRC?
I don't know.
You're the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, there are many things I don't know. But if you want to ask me, is there a problem in Congo that concerns Rwanda and that Rwanda would do anything to protect itself? I'd say 100%.
That Rwanda exports coltan, for instance, which does not exist here, is smuggled from DRC.
No, please, I invite you. We'll show you where we mine coltan. But
does Rwanda export any other minerals that are smuggled from Eastern DRC?
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Hey, listen, shout out to that interviewer from CNN. Shout out to that brother for asking the tough questions. You see, Paul Kagame, he a mob boss. Like I said, he's running a multi-billion-dollar critical minerals trafficking operation straight out the Eastern Congo. So for him to get up in his face in front of the cameras and say, listen, bruh, I heard you smuggling the critical minerals illegally out of the Congo. Listen, man, if the cameras was not rolling, Kagame probably would have eliminated you on the spot right there, bruh. So shout out to that brother for asking the tough questions, risking his life, you know, to get us the answers to the tough questions. Now, before I get into my commentary, let's take a look at some of these articles. This headline is hilarious. Rwanda's president says that he doesn't even know if his troops are in the Congo. Right? My man is the head of state. He don't even know where the troops at, right? He don't know where the troops at. He don't know what the troops doing. He don't know. You know, he's not aware. You know, they didn't inform him yet. Let's get into it. Rwandan President Paul Kagame has told CNN that he does not know if his country's troops are in the east of the Congo, where fighting between the M23 armed group and Congolese soldiers has killed more than 900 people and injured thousands in recent days. Now, let's get into this commentary. Let's get into my commentary. What do I think on this subject? Now, when I listen to the spokeswoman for the government of Rwanda, when I listen to Paul Kagame, essentially what they are saying, indirectly but directly, is that they're not openly admitting to having troops on the ground or boots on the ground, but what they're saying is we are simply defending ourselves. We are simply protecting ourselves, right? Now, there are a few things wrong with that. Number one, that still does not provide any answers for the multi-billion-dollar minerals trafficking operation that Kagame is running out of the Eastern Congo. Where is the correlation between I am simply defending and protecting my nation and a billion-dollar operation smuggling minerals across the border and simultaneously funding rebel insurgencies? Now, here's the thing, like I mentioned before, it's a very slippery slope when we go down this road, man, because follow me. Kagame justifies his military presence in the Congo by saying that there are hostile elements in the Congo. So, as a measure of national security, we have to intervene in the affairs of another nation. Now, when you go down this road, when you use this same logic, then at that point, Mali can invade Algeria due to the fact that they provide safe haven for the terrorists in the north. By that same logic, Niger can invade Benin because Benin's main military partner is France, and France military personnel flies through Benin airspace. Their military personnel is on the ground. They're active over the border in Benin. So by that logic, Niger, for national security, to protect itself against France, can invade Benin and deploy troops in Benin and support armed groups in Benin to keep the French influence away. And not only that, but Niger, under that same pretext, can invade Nigeria because Nigeria just signed an agreement with France. And Tinubu just went to France for a state visit. And that's why I've really been focusing on breaking down the weakness of Paul Kagame's arguments. Because like I said, everything that he's pointing out is not unique to his country. It's not unique to the Great Lakes region. You could apply similar pretexts to other nations across the continent. And if we did, the entire continent would be up in flames. But in this case, I just use the nations in the Sahel, right? They're currently battling terrorist insurgencies, right? You have terrorists launching attacks against the government, going over different borders, seeking refuge and safe haven in different countries, going over the borders to different neighbors, right? So under that same pretext, then Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger might as well launch attacks against Nigeria, launch attacks against Benin, launch attacks against Algeria. That's why as black men, we got to be critical thinkers. You see, guys like Paul Kagame, they think that they're the only intelligent person in the room. They're the only intelligent black man in the room. That's why it's so easy to break down his propaganda. If we are simply not in agreement with the leadership of a nation and we use that pretext to fund rebel insurgencies and support rebel groups to overthrow the government, then at that point, like I said, man, the whole continent gonna be upside down. And also, we cannot pick and choose when it comes to these type of things, right? We can't make exceptions for Paul Kagame, and then when it's somebody else, we're talking about the importance of sovereignty and all this nonsense, right? Like, for example, when the military government came to power in Niger, ECOWAS was going to militarily intervene, was going to militarily attack them to restore constitutional order, as they called it, right? Now, of course, Mali and Burkina Faso came to their defense, but what was everybody saying? ECOWAS does not have the right to intervene in the sovereign affairs of Niger. Niger is a sovereign nation. They can handle their own affairs. You do not need to militarily intervene, right? That's what everybody was saying. And I keep that same exact energy in reverse, right? For example, there are certain governments that I'm not a fan of. There are certain presidents that I'm not a fan of. For example, Alassane Ouattara, the president of Ivory Coast. I'm not a fan, right? But I would never advocate for his overthrow. I would never advocate for the funding and supporting of armed groups to topple his regime, right? I give him the bare minimum respect as a black man that is your sovereign territory. That's you, bro. That's all you. I ain't gonna mess with that. That's you, bro. Even when you heard stories about certain terrorist groups that might go over the border from Benin or Nigeria into Niger and launch terrorist attacks, I've never not once called for the military intervention and called for the AES to militarily intervene in Nigeria or Benin or any of these sovereign nations. I don't care if they got a Western backed puppet in charge. We are not going to invade the territory of our brothers. At bare minimum, I'm going to give him the respect of acknowledging that he is sovereign and he has the right to manage his own affairs, whether I like it or not. I'm not a fan of Alassane Ouattara. I'm not a fan of how close his government is to the French government. Yes, I believe that's a national security threat to the AES, but I would never advocate for the military intervention or to orchestrate a plot against his regime to overthrow his government. I would never advocate for that ever, because at bare minimum, I give him the respect that is your sovereign territory, bro. And even though I might not like what you are doing, at the end of the day, that is still your territory. That is still your land. And Paul Kagame, for whatever reason, he doesn't understand that, because going back since I was a baby, right? Going back to the days when I was a toddler, he's been launching attacks against the Congo. And I could understand why he was doing it maybe back in 1996, 1998. But brother, it's 2025 now, bro. How long are you going to be agitating in the Congo? And on top of that, everybody knows about that $1 billion critical minerals deal you signed with the EU. So no matter how much you deny and try to flip the narrative, we know why you are constantly meddling in the affairs of the Eastern Congo. And you've been trafficking the minerals out of the Congo for a long time, for a very long time. Now, before I get out of here, I want to address a comment that I said I was going to address. This brother said this: I'm still leaning towards Paul Kagame being right. He is the symbol of power over morality for me. And he really has the moral case too. Vengeance from the genocide back in the day. Once again, this is his equivalent to Henry Christophe's relationship with the British, in my humble opinion. It's how he is getting Rwanda to come up. Nothing but respect for your point of view. I love the content and the conversation on the topic. Now, this brother compared Paul Kagame to Christophe of Haiti. Now, I want to address that because I don't all the way agree that you can really compare Kagame to Christophe. I don't think it's a straight comparison, but I'll entertain it. Though. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a very long time, then you know that I've said that we live in a world where power dictates reality. Life is about power. Life does not operate based on morality. That is something that I've said. Now, I feel like he's kind of twisting my words, but I did say that. Now, when I said power versus morality, I did mention that you're supposed to operate in a moral fashion when it comes to your brothers, when it comes to your women, when it comes to your children, right? You're supposed to be ruthless against your enemies, of course, but you're not supposed to operate in that same fashion towards your brother. That's what I meant. Now, unless you're saying that the Congolese government is Paul Kagame's enemies, then that's another conversation. And even if that was the case, which I don't think he would ever say that, even if that was the case, that still does not give him the right to deploy any boots on the ground in the Congo, right? Because, for example, Alassane Ouattara had already announced that he had troops ready to attack Niger the same week the military government took power, right? He said, we're going to go in and kill y'all boys, right? But we've never advocated for the overthrow of Alassane Ouattara's government. I've never said, Alassane Ouattara, we need to fund armed groups in the Ivory Coast to attack his regime for what he did. Like, no, Alassane Ouattara was ready to kill the leaders of the AES, but we still never advocated for the toppling of his regime. Because at least at the bare minimum, as a black man, I respect the fact that you are a sovereign leader of a sovereign territory. And even though I might not like what you are doing, I have no right to destabilize your entire regime. I have no right to agitate inside your country for the toppling of your regime and fund armed insurgent groups. I have no right to do that as an outsider in my own sovereign territory from the comfort of my own presidential palace. Because if we don't give each other that bare minimum respect, like I said, the entire continent is going to be up in flames. At that point, listen, the entire continent going to be upside down, man. Everybody going to be shooting it out. Everybody going to be banging it out. But anyways, I want to address this guy's comparison, comparing Kagame to Christophe. Now, of course, there are obvious comparisons between Kagame and Christophe. Both were military men. Both led a liberation movement. Both came to power emerging from war, right? There are obvious similarities between the two leaders. Now, there are major differences where I feel like you cannot really compare the two. Now, the brother in the comment section tries to compare Kagame's relationship with the West to Christophe's relationship with certain Western nations like Great Britain. Now, when it comes to Rwanda, they are a middleman trafficking the wealth and minerals of Africa to the supply chains and to the state coffers of our colonial enemies. That is simply a fact. The man's entire economy is built on keeping the supply chain of the Western powers stocked with illegally smuggled resources and minerals. That is literally what's going on. Now, I don't know how you can directly compare that to Christoph, but like I said, I'm going to entertain the comparison. Now, Christoph had a relationship with certain Western nations, such as Great Britain, and that relationship was mainly built on having a common adversary at the time, which was France. The British hated the French. Christoph hated the French. They was like, let's get money. And that's what they was doing. They was getting money, right? The British was, I believe, Christoph's #1 client, #1 customer. Gave that boy billions of dollars. Now, what was Christoph selling to the British? What was Christoph's main exports? Agriculture, sugar, coffee, other goods, things like that, right? Keep in mind, the French colony of Saint-Domingue before the revolution was the main supplier to the world of sugar and things like that. So Christoph inherited that same economy. So like I said, they were coming to Christoph for the sugar and the coffee. Now, here's the main difference between Christoph and Kagame. Everything that Christoph produced, everything that Christoph brought to the international markets, he produced it on his own land, on his own sovereign territory, inside his own borders, by his own people. Right? He didn't cross over the border, right? He didn't cross over the border into the neighboring country to get them to harvest the sugar and the coffee. No, he didn't go over the border and steal somebody else's sugar and coffee. No, that was the main difference between Christoph and Paul Kagame. Everything that Christoph sold, he grew it, he harvested, and he controlled it inside his own borders. #1. When it comes to Paul Kagame, what he's exporting is not what he produced, right? He has an international smuggling and trafficking operation where he got these rebel networks controlling the trade routes. He doing something totally different than what Christoph was doing. Christoph was growing his sugar and his coffee, bringing it to the international markets, selling it for a price, and making his money. Clean business. Now, another comparison you could make between Kagame and Christoph, you could say, well, Christoph, when he was in power, he was launching military attacks against the Southern Republic of Haiti, right? When the nation was split into two nations after the death of Dessalines, right? Christoph controlled the north and the mixed race mulatto generals controlled the south, right? So one comparison you could make is, well, the same way Paul Kagame attacks the Congo and been attacking the Congo for years and decades is the same way how Christoph was attacking the Southern Republic. Now, one main difference between the two is Kagame is actually launching attacks against other Africans, other indigenous Africans, right? Christoph was attacking the mulatto elites, right? The mulatto generals, the sons of the colonists, right? The sons of the French colonists, right? So an indigenous African is not the same as the son of a French colonist. And also, unlike Paul Kagame, Christoph did not hide it. It was not a secret. Christoph let his intentions be known. When Christoph was launching attacks against the Southern Republic, he let it be known. I am attacking you because I am going to annex you. I'm going to drive you boys out. I'm going to kill y'all boys, and I'm going to take the South. Christoph did not mince words. It wasn't like Paul Kagame, telling lies and, I don't know where the troops at. I don't know where the army at. I don't know what's going on, right? Paul Kagame acting stupid. Christoph, he stood on what he stood on. He let it be known, yeah, I'm attacking them boys. I'm going to find them boys and I'm going to kill them boys and I'm going to take the South. Now, Christoph was never able to take the South because, say whatever you want about the mulatto generals, when it came to combat, when it came to fighting, they were some of the best. Any general that was active and emerged from the Haitian Revolution, some of the greatest military men to ever exist. So even myself, I'm not a fan of the mulatto generals, but they defended their territory until the end. Christoph could never take the South. Them boys defended themselves. And vice versa. The Southern generals also attacked Christoph on multiple occasions, and Christoph defended himself vigorously as well. But like I said, I don't think you could directly compare Christoph attacking the sons of the French colonists to Kagame attacking his fellow African neighbors. I don't think it's a direct comparison. A comparison can be made there, but I don't think it's a direct comparison. So like I said, I don't think that you could really compare Kagame and Christoph. Like I said, Kagame's entire economy is tied to trafficking the minerals of the Congo, right? When it came to Christoph was simply selling agricultural products. Like, you know what I mean? You can't really compare one guy selling off the wealth of Africa to, Christoph selling, sugar and coffee and things like that. I just don't think it's the same thing. So in summary, I don't think you can really compare Kagame to Christoph, man. Like I said, Christoph never pretended or tried to, play stupid. When it came to what he was doing, it was open warfare, right? Christoph said, yeah, one day I'm going to march to Port-au-Prince and I'm going to take the city. One day I'm going to march down south and I'm going to take the capital. And then I'm going to execute them boys in front of everybody. Like Christoph, he was not hiding his intentions, right? Kagame is hiding his hands. Not only is he running a critical minerals operation, selling off billions and billions of dollars of the continent's wealth, but he is hiding his hand and playing the victim simultaneously when he's been one of the biggest aggressors in the Great Lakes region, interfering in the affairs of Congo for decades and decades. So I just wanted to address that. And like I said, man, my main beef with Paul Kagame is the illegal minerals trafficking operation he's running out of the Congo. That is it. And I always make sure to repeat it to hammer that point home, because I don't want anybody to get off track or off topic or deflect. My only issue is it's already bad enough that you shipping off the wealth of the continent to the Western supply chains, right? But what makes it worse is you not even shipping off your own natural resources, bruh. How you gonna be a middleman for somebody else's resources? That's crazy, bruh. Now, like I said, I simply think that Paul Kagame is preying on the weakness of the Congolese government. So at this point, it's on the Congolese government to fortify themselves, to strengthen themselves, to be able to protect themselves against the machinations and the illegal activity, the criminal activity of Paul Kagame. Anyways, man, it's a boy Nevercard, Salim, back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash App in the description. Support the channel, man. Support the album. Peace.
Yeah, I'm focused on fortification. I'm trying to step out of the matrix. I'm finna be all in your playlist. The haters gon' look and amaze me. I'm taking my time and I'm patient. They tell me I make it look easy. I'm going and they never gon' reach me. I cut off my phone, I'm back on my zone. Yeah, I'm back on my own, the king of my castle and forging my own path. I'm back on the dawn, I know they be watching it lately. I'm pressing the gas. These niggas be clones, they selling they soul for currency. I be like, man, just leave me alone. Lil' mama, she look like a dancer. I'm back in my zone, I got hundreds and fifties, they treat me just like I'm a master. I'm back in the city, I'm feeling imperial, plotting on power expansion. I can't show no love, I got pain in my heart, but I hide it when I'm on the camera. I'm young and I'm raising the standard, and now I don't be doing no features. These niggas be talking about killing and robbing, I'm steady relaxing leisure. The spirit of kings, we never gon' die, we taking it back with the leaders. They came and invaded, the enemy raided and put all that shit in museums. Real talk, and I still can't believe it. I pull up and shine on them, I pull up and ride on them, I pull up and flex with the team, you know we gon' style on them. I'm cold like 7 degrees whenever I rhyme on them. This shit like COINTELPRO, my nigga they spine on us. Fuck how they feeling, I'm bossed up. Enemy finna get tossed up. Come on the block and then buy it up. Back in the biz, I'm riding up. I'm ready for war and they hiding out. I told the creator I'm riding out. They up in the crib and they popping out. I'm close to the limit, I've been in route. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Weight on my shoulders, it feel like a boulder. Ghost written by the kings, I decoded like high priest. That a foul done wrote it. I'ma get it till they tell me it's over. I'ma get it till I'm way up and noted. Meditating so I'm close to the God. Pretty soon we gon' be on the top. Yeah, I'm focused on fortification. I'm trying to step out of the matrix. I'm finna be all in your playlist. The haters gon' look and amaze me.